Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this next interview. As Serbia heads to the polls in towns like Zajeća and Kosjerić, the significance of these local elections extend far beyond municipal governance. Now, following months of anti-corruption protests and youth-led mobilization, many see this vote as a national litmus test for Serbia's democratic resilience and regional stability. Joining us on TVP World to unpack these developments is Besfort Rrecaj, International Relations Professor at the University of Prishtina. As a leading voice in Balkan diplomacy, his work bridges domestic unrest and its international ramifications. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much. Nice to be here with you.
So we're trying to look at the local elections taking place in Serbia, and I think from an international perspective, we're also curious to find out whether or not these youth movement will enact meaningful change in this round of elections. Do you think that that is something that we can use as sort of an assessment, a litmus test, or are we reading a little bit too much into the tea leaves?
Well, I think you're both ways. You're right. On the one side, these are very important elections due to the situation in Serbia from 1st of November, when the students' protest started due to mismanagement of the state in general by the current government. But on the other hand, I think we might just overestimate the results of these elections, and because of just the size of these elections. I mean, we are talking about two municipalities, and we have around, which represent, both of them represent around 1% of constituency of Serbia, as well as only two municipalities out of more than 100 municipalities spread all around Serbia. And hence, although we might have some sample of the people's will and people's orientation, however, I'm afraid that either way, this is just is going to represent, is going to have some tiny impact in the future development in Serbia.
Right. Now, a lot of analysts are actually watching this election kind of as a bellwether. But do you think that if we see the needle change in any sort of direction, even if it's not a significant change, it is something that we can perhaps take as a sign that things maybe are moving a little bit?
Well, of course. I mean, we see, for example, in Zajeća, we see that voter turnout was much higher than, I believe it was around 10% higher than last times. Also, we see similar turnaround of voters in the other municipality. And so this tells that that people have been mobilized from both camps, if I may say, from the opposition parties and as well as oppositions. However, while we have, while in Zajeća, in Kosjerić, we have a unified opposition. In Zajeća, we don't see a unified opposition, and this might hurt the opposition parties because it seems that they are not represented a unified front, and this is what goes to the benefit of the ruling parties. And even before the elections, few days before the election, there were some surveys that still place SNS, so Vucic's party, as the party who will win these elections.
Right. We've been speaking to a lot of experts from Serbia, and a lot of them have been pointing out the fact that the SNS of Vucic's party was able to solidify power for an extended amount of time due to what you mentioned, the lack of a unified opposition. Can you help us understand why is that such an issue in Serbia to have an opposition figure that people can unite behind?
Well, I think it's due to several factors. So what we see from the protests point of view, we see a protest that have been led by students.
Mhm.
And from the beginning, students did not want to sort of portray these protests as something that is politically incited, that has been incited by opposition parties, but that students wanted a real and sustainable change in Serbia, and that it's not about grabbing the powers there, but it's about creating a sustainable society, a true democratic state, no matter who participate in politics. And therefore, students have been hesitating so far to completely cooperate with or more heavily cooperate with opposition parties out of the fear that this will then be manipulated by SNS, and then they will throw the cause away from their real cause.
Right, so this is kind of the age-old story of people wanting a third-party candidate, but also having to play into the two-party system and the kind of conflict we're seeing here. So we do know that these students do try to lead independent lists in these elections. Do you think that they have any sort of realistic chance, or eventually they will have to kind of side with the opposition party in order to have any change enacted?
I think that they will have to work in these directions more heavily. I think that the students don't have any real leader who will take this responsibility to lead maybe movement as a movement, not as a political party, but as a movement, and possibly with the support of the opposition parties. But they will have, I think it's time for them to go ahead and unite and present a more broader political platform for Serbia and for the Serbian people. And in this respect, I think they should move forward. And I mean, they don't have to be a real political party. They can run as a movement. As a list of people, in a sense that they should select some figures that are important to them, and then they have a vision for a better Serbia, and in order to rally people around them, and that they want to bypass and overcome all the legacies of past politics in Serbia, and that they want to present something new, something that is that will distance Serbia from the politics that started basically in the 90s. It's very absurd that we are talking about a president like Vucic, who is, I must say, a remnant of the 90s politics. I mean, he was heavily involved during the 90s, during the dissolution of Serbia, and right after that in Serbian politics. And he was part of a government that committed crimes in Kosovo, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and so on and so forth. And so what Serbia needs is a totally new political elite. And I think that students can represent that and can offer that new political elite. However, they have to be organized better, I believe, and then they have to press more on their demands, and to as well encompass a much broader state-building agenda in their cause and in their movement.
Right, like I mentioned, we are seeing a remnant of the 90s politics in the form of Alexander Vucic, but we're also seeing, of course, pushback from the student protesters as well. Do you think that this could serve as a genuine political awakening among Serbians' youth, or this would just be kind of a fleeting protest wave?
I mean, you should be persistent. I mean, students and opposition should be persistent. The political environment is very harsh for opposition and for the students and for civil society. All international reports, including governmental and non-governmental organizations that do monitor states, they report on declining and backdrops in democratic development in Serbia, and particularly control of media by heavily controlled media by Serbian government. Media is very important, as was stipulated by the European Court of Human Rights and Venice Commission, that in order to build a true society, a democratic society, people need to be informed about what's going on in a country. And people in Serbia are not being properly informed. They are being manipulated by state-run media and by state-controlled media that are purported private media, but they are actually controlled indirectly by the government and Vucic's regime. So the environment there is very harsh, and we see from the freedom of speech and freedom of media perspective. Also, we see that Vucic and the government is ready to use force against protests and people protesting. We saw recently many, just last week, I believe, around 20 people have been arrested because of some sort of violence that took place there, and they arrested 18 people, I believe, or 20 people or so and so forth. We saw in the 15th of March protests something that is still, I believe, under investigations, the use of a military type of weapon that uses sound to cause fear among the Protestants, and we saw videos coming from that night there. So we are talking about very harsh conditions there to do opposition, but people, I think, should claim their country back there. People should be persistent there, and that they should be more united. And in this way, I think no dictator will stand the will of the people, I believe.
All right, a very inspiring message, and on that we'll conclude. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your input and insight. Really appreciate it, and thanks for being with us on TVP World.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. All the best from Pristina.
Cheers. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.